This is Two Guys, One Movie, your own personal hell.
The reimagining.
In 3D.
On ice.
Yes, this is Steve Arviso.
And Charles Musick.
And we're back for another edition of our Halloween Countdown for 2014. And today's choice is Cube, the Canadian horror film slash musical.
Might be pronounced Cubby. I'm not 100% sure.
What would be the Canadian pronunciation for Cube? Cube?
Cube.
Cube.
A.
Cube. So we got Cube.
A.
We got Cube, Cube 2, Hypercube,
A.
and Cube Zero. Z Arrow? Z Arrow? Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Probably Cube Z out in the northern hat of America. But, you know, we are talking about it is a Canadian horror franchise. Believe it or not, the Canadians can actually be scary.
Yes, they can. I mean, actually, these movies are a favorite of mine.
Have you seen the lines for their healthcare?
I didn't see these movies until we were actually working at Blockbuster.
Yep.
And, I mean, looking at the dates, 1997, 2002, the 1997 one, it seems like older to me. It seems almost like an 80s movie.
Yeah, it's very minimal. I had a low budget, and I only had that one set. It was a film done entirely in one set. They just changed the color.
But it's brilliant. My God, I mean...
It's an incredible film. Basic premise is a bunch of people wake up, they're in a giant cube. Giant death, and it's just filled with death traps. And they're trying to escape. That's the whole premise for
each
all
room
movies.
that they have a door basically on each wall.
Mm-hmm.
And a door on the floor or on the ceiling in some.
Yep.
And they basically, each room they move into some have booby traps and some don't.
Yep.
And these booby traps range from the most sadistic things of like, you know, huge wire nets that are cutting you in half, or flamethrowers that are burning you, or...
All you really need to know is that there are no windows and no doors.
Yes.
They must find a way out.
But I mean...
It really is just a ripoff of the Haunted Mansion.
No, not at all. The whole premise, I mean, these people... And what's really great about this movie is the people in the movie are lost too. So don't feel bad when you're watching it and you're going, what the fuck am I watching and what the hell's going on here?
Nobody knows.
You're not supposed to know.
Yeah, they don't... if I remember right, in the first one, they don't even remember who they are, correct?
They start to remember partly. They know who they are and stuff, but they don't remember, like, how they got there. Okay. It's like, I remember I was in the park running and then boom.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of mistrust, a lot of misdirection, and it just gets crazier as the films progress. Now, a quick note right here, because Charles really did want to hammer this home. The series does run Cube, Cube 2, and then Cube 0. Cube 0 is actually a prequel to for the series.
It's called Cube 3, Cube 0, Cube 3,
yeah.
Cube 0. But don't watch it first at all.
As a prequel, it does ruin the franchise for you by a bunch of revelations that occur during the film.
Not ruining it like because it's bad. It ruins it because you're supposed to be lost in these movies, and
it explains a lot of twists and a lot of background information that isn't present in most of the films.
But you're lucky if you haven't watched them and you do sit down and watch them, because I had to wait, years for Cube 0 to come out after watching Cube and Hypercube. So it's like I was like in the dark. I had no idea, for years what was happening. And then Cube 0 came out, and I was like, oh my God, I have to see this. And I finally watched it, and it explains all the questions you had, or most of the questions you had.
Yep, yes it does.
A really solid trilogy, though. I mean, don't watch it while you're eating, though.
And this is really one of those series that you really can't talk too much about in detail without giving away everything.
Just know that you've never seen anything like it, and if you can't handle films like... I almost want to say like Hostel, where there's kind of graphic...
There's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of body horror and gore in this. A lot of graphic stuff.
And Cube 2, if you're a sci-fi fan, that really goes into a lot of the sci-fi, and stuff like that.
For some people, it might go a little bit over your head because it is a sequel, but it's in the sense that it's a sequel that's supposed to take place quite a bit later, because you'll notice that the two cubes one from each movie, the respective cubes, are very different. One is very mechanical in the first and in the prequel. And then the Cube 2, Hypercube, is supposed to be very mathematical, very sci-fi. It's very out
almost
there.
Star Trek-ish.
Almost Star Trek-ish kind of thing.
Try not to go cross-eyed.
Try very much, because it will confuse the hell out of you at times, and you'll be left scratching your head. A lot of it might seem a little bit out there compared to the other two, because it's very outlandish at times. But it's still a very good film.
But not knowing, I mean, even, when the final scene of part 1 ends, you still don't know a lot of you're kind of in the dark. But that's what aids the movie, I think, so much, is that you don't really know what's happening. And
you focus on the characters at hand as opposed to the situation that they're in. The details of the situation that they're in, at least.
And the fact that it was shot, as you're saying, with one room, and they changed the color, especially, and stuff. It relies a lot on, the character's fear and, the emotions they're playing on. And so you're getting emotionally involved in the movie as well, rather than just watching, big computer effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, and, for a horror film that has a lot of grisly deaths in it, and the whole franchise has a bunch of grisly deaths in it, you really do care about these characters. It's not one of those horror films where it's just a body count film, and as fun as those might be, this manages to be a body count film that has a lot of depth to it. Because it is there's a lot of psychology involved, there's a lot of emotional, a lot of strong emotional beats throughout it, and not so much in Hypercube. I would say Hypercube is a bit out there because it focuses
I like Hypercube because it took Cube to the next level.
Yeah.
But then there are parts, as you're saying, where you get a little lost, and
I think
not so much the way you're supposed to be lost to the point of wow, there's a lot of going back and forth here and there.
I think they focused too much on the special effects in the second one because they could do it. I guess the first one was successful enough to warrant the sequel and they got a higher budget. I think the focus on special effects really took away from the character-focused premise of the original film, and they kind of went back to that character-focused story in the third film, the prequel,
Well, let's
Cube
just say, since the third one is a prequel, let's just say, knowing what I know from watching Cube Zero, that's exactly how I would expect them to make the Cube from part 1 to 2. Jump on, make all those advances and upgrades. That's exactly what the people that we're talking about would do.
And again, we can't really go into too much detail here because there's so much that happens and you really have to see these things for yourself. From the opening scene in the first film, you're going to be hooked.
I do advise not eating. I think Steven and I both made that mistake of eating while we were watching this movie.
Yeah, especially, I will put this warning out there for Cube Zero specifically, do not watch the opening scene while eating at all. I made the mistake of doing so with lasagna, and I've regretted that decision ever since, and it's been about 10 years. So.
Yes. It actually has been 10 years.
For you, not me.
Well, since it came out.
Since it came out. I think it's been about 8 years since I've seen it. Yeah, so I regretted that decision ever since.
It's definitely a trilogy that doesn't get enough acclaim and should be at the top of a lot of people's horror films list.
And oddly enough, it's not. It's one of those movies that seem to fly under the radar for most people. Those who have seen it will praise it a lot. I've never seen anyone talk bad about it. I've seen people talk a little bit bad about the second film, and it does have its weaknesses compared to the other two. But it still manages to be very entertaining. But the franchise itself flies under the radar for most people, and I don't know why. It needs more appreciation. So yes, it's Canadian, but you shouldn't hold that against it.
Obviously, you would say if you're going to watch one of them, watch number 1.
Yes, and if you can skip one of them, skip 2.
Yeah, because you can watch 1, and then Cube Zero would explain part 1 to you.
2, there's just no explanation.
But I like 2 because as I said, it's where I would see those people going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a different investment, but I think just the special effects focus as opposed to the character focus is the only reason why I would say if you have no access to it, don't feel like you've missed anything. But all that said and done, go ahead, try and find Cube. From what Charles has mentioned, it's not available in a lot of different formats. You might be able to find the DVD somewhere. I'm not sure if the DVDs are still in print.
I don't believe part 1. Well, maybe. I mean,
part 1 might
eBay.
Yeah. But
or Amazon.
From what we understand, in the U.S. at least, the film was distributed by Trimark Films, and that's since been purchased by MGM. So I'm not sure where the rights to the film land at this point. So there's no telling if the movie is still in production anywhere. But if you can find a copy somewhere streaming legally, obviously, if you can find a copy somewhere and manage to play it, it's well worth the time and effort to see these films.
Yes, definitely. Just because it's a lower budget and because, you're not recognizing the names like Johnny Depp or Frank Langella in it.
And that it's Canadian.
It stands up very well. It's up there.
It's very much up there. I would say that at least the first film, if not the others, the first film is easily one of the best horror films in the last 50 years.
Just in case you were wondering, you can purchase it on DVD through Amazon.
Hey, it's actually $3 right now for Amazon Instant Video. So for those of you with an Amazon account, go ahead and stream that as soon as possible.
Buy the DVD. It's $10. You'll be glad you own it.
You'll definitely be glad you owned it.
Yes.
Or at least buy it digitally for $8. Up to you.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today.
Okay, that's been another edition of Two Guys, One Movie, presenting the Canadian horror film trilogy, Q, or Coop.
Gooby.
Coop. Alright, good night and good luck.
Thanks for listening.